Well, what you've got is there are multiple attempts to push very similar legislation through through Congress or by judicial review about reforming the use of national security letters. Now, these are letters that the FBI sends out by their tens of thousands, which allow them to get take telcos or ISPs, that allow them to request email communication metadata, telephone metadata, not content. Now, the FBI used to use these to request internet browsing history, and that was struck down by a judicial review in 2008. Now they're introducing legislation in this particular bill. They've also introduced it as an amendment to the Email Privacy Act. They've also introduced it as a Rule 41 judicial rule change, which will come into effect on December 1st unless Congress does something about it. And all it means is basically they don't have to go to a judge to get your internet browsing history.
Why is this? It makes no sense to me that they should be able to do this without going to a judge. It seems overreaching, and it's just because it's a new technology that they're able to sort of cordon it off and say, oh, well, eavesdropping on your phone calls to know X, or can they eavesdrop on your mail without getting a court order, like your postal mail?
Content, no, but metadata, yes.
Well, no, I'm talking about snail mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was always wondering about this. Since mail is a government-run organization, you would assume the FBI, CIA would look at the outside of your envelopes and be able to know that. That to me seems a little fugazi.
They need a judicial review to actually open your mail.
To open it.
Yes, to open it.
So they know you got it. They can look at the fingerprints on it, but not open it.
No, but if you open it, then they have to go to, well, in many cases, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which is a secret court, and virtually never denies the ability to do it. And indeed, they can apply for this retroactively. When I spoke to Senator Wyden, he said, look, when I helped draft the USA Freedom Act, I put in a specific clause saying the FBI can get this information and ask for the information, the judicial review retroactively after the event, in the event of an emergency. This is purely about paperwork saving for the FBI. They don't want to be bothered to go to a court to get this information, and so we've got multiple attempts going through. And Wyden is one of the few voices out there who's actually saying, hang on a bit, this doesn't quite work. And he's had some successes. He said, if once you actually explain the ramifications of this to senators, they get it, but they're just not getting the information as to what this means.
Voting no against giving the FBI or CIA power in the age of ISIS lone wolf attacks is a very, very unpopular and courageous stance to take, is it not?
It is, and it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Explain.
No, I mean, I'm sorry if I offend some of your listeners with this, but I was shocked at quite how. I'm trying to think of a polite way to say it. Why are Americans such about terrorism?
Yeah.
Seriously, I lived for 30 years under an IRA bombing campaign in London. I stood next to an IRA bomb 8 minutes before it went off, literally a couple of feet away. You've got to get used to the idea that life isn't safe. I mean, you haven't had admittedly, you had a very bad introduction to the world of international terrorism with 9/11, but you can't.
We didn't have a sustained attack, like you guys had.
But I mean, you can't burn down the house just to try and get some illusion of safety. Yeah. I mean, really, it's just this stuff happens.
I went to the Bush White House and argued with their chief of staff about this, and he said our job is to keep the American people safe. Jason's right. There is a political pressure on them to do things to make sure that we don't get attacked again, or that they have at least answers when we get attacked.
Well, they can go through all the security theater they like, but you can't stop a lone gunman who's not intent on saving his own life.
No, I mean and let me just take a quick moment to tell all the startups listening that Scott Walker is an amazing attorney. I know because a lot of my incubator companies and investments use Scott Walker, and we just had a discussion about law firms on our secret discussion group, and people were talking about how much they love working with Scott Walker and the Walker Corporate Law Firm. They're a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs and startups, and they encourage fixed fees. They believe billable hours reward inefficiency, and they just love to tell you this is what it's going to cost. How refreshing is that as an entrepreneur to not have that sticker shock, to not have that fear of opening up the PDF from your law firm and getting that ridiculous surprise that they went 3 times over. You're not going to have that happen with the Walker Corporate Law Group because they do fixed fees, and all their lawyers have a decade or two of experience. No junior associates who are getting on-the-job training with your startup. They do mergers and acquisitions, licensing arrangements, terms of service, privacy policies, and they just love working with startups. The founder, Scott Ed Walker, is a total mensch and just a lover of startups. I've known him for a long time. He comes to all my events, and he's indefatigable in his support of founders. You can give him a call right now, 415-979-9998. 415 is San Francisco, 979-9998, 979-9998, or email Scott at Walker Corporate Law, Scott at WalkerCorporateLaw.com, or visit WalkerCorporateLaw.com. And you can follow Scott Ed Walker on the Twitter, at Scott Ed Walker. And everybody go ahead and thank at Scott Ed Walker on Twitter if you're a super fan, because he has been, I think he's the longest running partner of the show. So thanks again to Scott Walker for representing my companies and doing a great job at it.